Hello everyone. Today we will talk about evaluation and control. Evaluation and control are critical to the strategic management process, enabling managers to assess the effectiveness of organizational strategies. These processes utilize performance data and activity reports, helping operational managers identify and address issues in daily operations. When problems arise from improper use of strategies, operational managers can implement corrective measures without needing top management's involvement. However, if issues stem from flaws within the strategic processes, such as unrealistic goals or poorly designed plans, collaboration between top and operational managers is necessary to revise the strategy. This teamwork ensures alignment with long-term objectives and responsiveness to changing environments. Effective evaluation relies on relevant and reliable information. While financial metrics are often straightforward to assess, evaluating strategic activities like employee development or innovation can be challenging. A clear framework guides this evaluation process, starting with identifying what to measure, setting performance standards, measuring actual performance, and comparing it to standards to spot discrepancies. If performance meets expectations, the evaluation concludes that the strategy is working. If not, managers take corrective actions and continue monitoring the situation. This systematic approach aids in pinpointing the causes of performance issues, whether related to execution or strategy, and supports better informed strategic decisions. Performance is the outcome of organizational activities, and measuring it requires selecting appropriate indicators aligned with the unit being assessed and the strategic objectives established earlier. Key goals such as profitability, market share, and cost reduction should guide the performance evaluation post-implementation. Typical financial measures like return on investment (ROI) and earnings per share (EPS) effectively assess profitability but fall short for other objectives, such as social responsibility or employee development. These metrics mainly provide retrospective insights and do not predict future performance. Therefore, organizations need steering controls, which are metrics that forecast profitability based on influencing factors. Industry-specific metrics can serve as steering controls. For instance, airlines track cost per passenger mile, where Southwest Airlines' lower costs provided a competitive edge. In retail, the inventory turnover ratio measures how efficiently inventory is managed, with higher ratios indicating better cash flow and reduced obsolescence risk. Customer satisfaction is another critical steering control, as higher ratings on the American Customer Satisfaction Index correlate with better financial performance. Companies employ various methods to measure customer satisfaction, including sales ratios and service request metrics. Tools like dashboard software help executives visualize essential steering information to monitor performance effectively. Types of controls. Controls in organizational performance can be categorized into three types: output, behavior, and input content. Output controls focus on the end results, using objectives and performance targets to specify what should be accomplished. These are useful when the relationship between activities and results is unclear. Examples include sales quotas and customer satisfaction surveys. Behavior controls dictate how tasks should be performed through policies and procedures. They are beneficial when the cause and effect relationship between activities and results is well understood, but measuring performance directly is challenging. Input controls emphasize the resources involved, such as employee skills and values. These are most appropriate when outputs are hard to measure and there is no clear link between behavior and performance. In strategic contexts, corporations pursuing conglomerate diversification often emphasize output controls, while those seeking synergy, like in concentric diversification, utilize all three types. The focus may shift over time, such as from output to behavior to input controls as an organization matures. Examples of behavior controls include the ISO 9000 and 14000 standards, which ensure quality management and environmental responsibility. Companies like DuPont and 3M seek ISO certification to enhance quality assurance and competitiveness. ISO 9000, despite its cost, often leads to significant annual savings, while ISO 14000 improves environmental management and corporate image. Additionally, monitoring employee activities, such as phone calls and internet usage, is increasingly common, with many companies using these practices to ensure adherence to guidelines. In a survey, a significant percentage of U.S. companies reported monitoring employee communications, with some taking disciplinary action for violations. Activity-based costing (ABC) is a modern accounting method used to allocate indirect and fixed costs to individual products based on their value-added activities. This approach is particularly beneficial for conducting value chain analysis and making outsourcing decisions. Traditional cost accounting typically focuses on financial reporting and calculating unit costs by adding direct labor to material costs, then computing overhead based on direct labor hours. This method works well when direct labor is a significant cost, but it has become less relevant as overhead can account for up to 70% of manufacturing costs today. Errors in cost allocation under traditional methods can lead to pricing inaccuracies, risking the financial stability of a company, especially in industries where overhead is predominant. For instance, Chrysler found that some of its component costs were underestimated by 30 times using traditional accounting. ABC improves accuracy by allocating overhead more precisely. In a pen factory example, if black pens are produced in large volumes and blue pens in small, traditional methods may overestimate the cost of black pens by misallocating retooling costs. In contrast, ABC breaks down production into specific activities, allowing for a more accurate allocation of costs based on actual overhead consumed. This reveals that blue pens are nearly twice as costly to produce. Understanding these costs helps management make informed decisions. If blue pens cannot be sold at a profitable price, it may be more strategic to stop their production unless they serve a specific need, such as customer requirements or market trends. Okay. Enterprise risk management is an integrated approach for managing uncertainties that can impact a corporation's objectives, aiming to enhance decision-making across the organization. Traditionally, risk management was fragmented, with various departments handling different types of risks, such as process, safety, and financial, leading to mismanaged priorities where larger risks were overlooked while smaller ones were scrutinized excessively. The adoption of has surged due to increasing environmental uncertainties affecting businesses, and as a result, the role of Chief Risk Officer is rapidly growing in prominence. For instance, Microsoft utilizes scenario analysis to pinpoint key business risks, such as potential earthquakes or economic downturns. The risk rating process involves three primary steps. Identify risks. This can be done through scenario analysis, brainstorming or self-assessments. Rank risks. Risks are ranked based on their anticipated impact and likelihood. Measure risks. Companies may use methodologies like value at risk (VAR) and stress testing to assess potential financial impacts. DuPont employs earnings at risk (EAR) tools to evaluate how risks could affect reported earnings, allowing the company to manage risks according to its risk appetite. This comprehensive view helps DuPont analyze how different risks influence the likelihood of meeting earning targets. Research indicates that companies with effective integrative risk management capabilities tend to achieve better economic performance. The reliance on simple financial measures like return on investment (ROI) and earnings per share (EPS) for assessing corporate performance is declining. Analysts now advocate for a broader array of evaluation methods, including stakeholder measures, shareholder value, and the balanced scorecard approach. There is a notable trend towards incorporating more complex financial metrics and non-financial measures, especially among companies focused on innovation and new product development. Traditional financial measures have their benefits, but also significant limitations. ROI is commonly used but can be manipulated and does not always reflect true performance. EPS suffers from inconsistencies due to varying accounting principles and does not account for the time value of money. Return on equity (ROE) also relies on accounting data and may not correlate with stock price. Operating cash flow, which provides a broader measure of funds available before financing costs and taxes, offers another perspective. Similarly, free cash flow reflects the money available to shareholders without harming the business, but can be prone to manipulation. Given their inadequacies when used in isolation, these traditional measures should be combined with non-financial metrics to provide a comprehensive view of performance. For example, Internet businesses often use metrics such as website visit duration stickiness, visit counts eyeballs, and brand awareness mindshare as complementary indicators. Mergers and acquisitions may also be evaluated based on metrics like monthly unique users (MUUs), indicating a shift towards more holistic performance assessments. Non-financial performance measures are crucial for Internet-based businesses, as traditional financial indicators often miss early signs of growth and customer engagement. Key non-financial metrics include stickiness. This measure refers to the duration of visitors' stays on a website. Longer visits suggest that users find the content valuable and engaging, which can enhance customer loyalty and increase future purchase likelihood. Eyeballs. This term denotes the number of visitors to a site. For online businesses, especially those dependent on advertising or network effects, attracting high traffic is vital for success. Increased visitor numbers can boost visibility, enhance ad revenue, and strengthen market position, even if financial results are not yet significant. Mindshare. This metric reflects brand awareness among consumers. A strong mindshare ensures that customers not only recognize a brand, but also remember and prefer it over competitors. This recognition can lead to long-term loyalty and influence purchasing decisions. Stakeholders assess corporate performance based on criteria that reflect how a company's activities impact their interests. To address these concerns, top management should establish stakeholder measures for different groups. Shareholder value has emerged as a key metric, viewed as a more reliable indicator of corporate performance than traditional accounting measures like ROI, ROE, and EPS. Shareholder value represents the present value of anticipated future cash flows and the liquidation value of the company. It emphasizes cash flow as a performance measure, indicating that a business creates value when its returns exceed its cost of capital. For instance, companies like Deere & Company require their business units to achieve specific profit margins above their cost of capital. Two significant measures of shareholder value are economic value added (EVA) and market value added (MVA), popularized by the consulting firm Stern Stewart and Company. EVA calculates the profit remaining after accounting for the cost of capital, and it has gained traction as a preferred performance measure over ROI. Managers can improve EVA by increasing profits without additional capital or by investing in high-return projects. Studies show that companies utilizing EVA tend to outperform their competitors. MVA reflects the market value of a corporation compared to the total capital invested. A positive MVA indicates that management has created value for shareholders, while a negative MVA suggests value destruction. High-profile companies like Microsoft and Coca-Cola generally report high MVA, while others, like General Motors, do not. Despite the advantages of EVA and MVA, they primarily focus on shareholder interests and overlook other stakeholders. As climate change and related regulations become increasingly pertinent, their impact on corporate financial performance will likely grow, necessitating a broader evaluation of corporate success beyond financial metrics. The balanced scorecard approach, developed by Kaplan and Norton, advocates for a comprehensive evaluation of a corporation that integrates both financial and non-financial measures. This method recognizes that non-financial assets can significantly contribute to a firm's overall value, often explaining 50% to 80% of it. The balanced scorecard combines financial results with operational metrics related to customer satisfaction, internal processes, and innovation, offering a more holistic view of an organization's performance. Management sets goals in 4 key areas. Financial: how do we appear to shareholders? Customer: how do customers perceive us? Internal business perspective: what must we excel at? Innovation and learning: can we continue to improve and create value? Each goal is tied to specific key performance measures, targets, and initiatives. For instance, financial measures might include cash flow and return on equity (ROE), while customer measures could encompass market share and customer satisfaction. Surveys indicate widespread adoption of the balanced scorecard, with about 50% of Fortune 1000 companies in North America and over half of the Global 1000 using some variation of it. Common non-financial metrics among these firms include customer satisfaction, product quality, and market share. For practical implementation, companies like DuPont's Engineering Polymers division use the balanced scorecard to align their strategies with productivity and revenue goals. Successful use of the balanced scorecard requires customization to fit a firm's specific circumstances. When aligned with corporate strategy, it can enhance performance, but applying it mechanically without strategic connection may hinder outcomes. Boards of directors play a crucial role in assessing the performance of CEOs and top management teams through their strategy, audit, and compensation committees. Most boards globally, 91% in the US, 75% in Europe and Asia, employ formal processes for evaluating CEO performance, emphasizing the importance of objective assessments since CEOs often rate their senior management more positively than peers do. While traditional measures such as ROI, ROE, EPS, and shareholder value are critical, especially in decisions about CEO termination, boards increasingly recognize the value of qualitative factors. Compensation committees prioritize a CEO's ability to set strategic direction, build effective teams, and provide leadership over mere financial metrics. A survey by Korn/Ferry International found that American boards consider financial performance 81%, ethical behavior 63%, thought leadership 58%, and corporate reputation 32% among their evaluation criteria. The evaluation criteria should align with previously established objectives, encompassing factors like market share and product quality. Performance evaluations for boards themselves are common, with 87% of directors in the Americas conducting them, though individual director evaluations are less frequent despite strong support for them among directors. 77% agree they should occur, but only 37% do. Some companies utilize a 17-item questionnaire developed by Ram Charan to evaluate their CEOs, focusing on company performance, leadership, team building, and engagement with external constituencies. For instance, Keravision, Inc. used this tool for feedback, leading to significant discussions about management objectives and succession planning, enhancing board involvement in strategic discussions. Management audits are essential tools for boards of directors, allowing them to assess how effectively management handles various corporate activities, including corporate social responsibility and specific functional areas like marketing or international divisions. These audits are particularly beneficial when the board identifies areas for improvement. A specific type of management audit, the strategic audit, offers a structured approach to evaluating corporate functions and activities. It uses a checklist of questions to systematically analyze different areas, serving as a diagnostic tool to identify corporate strengths, weaknesses, and problem areas. Strategic audits are instrumental in uncovering why specific issues arise within a corporation and can help develop potential solutions. They are valuable for evaluating top management's performance, ensuring that the organization is aligned with its strategic goals and effectively addressing challenges. Companies utilize various techniques to evaluate and control performance across divisions, strategic business units (SBUs), and functional areas. When dealing with SBUs or divisions, corporations often use performance measures like ROI or EVA, similar to those for overall performance. They may also develop responsibility centers to isolate specific functional units such as R&D, allowing for more targeted evaluations. Key types of responsibility centers. Standard cost centers. Used primarily in manufacturing, these centers compare standard expected production costs to actual costs for performance evaluation. Revenue centers focus on sales performance without considering resource costs. Effectiveness is assessed based on actual versus projected sales. Expense centers measure resources in terms of dollars without directly correlating to product costs, typically covering administrative or service units. Profit centers evaluate performance based on the difference between revenues and expenditures, allowing managers autonomy to influence profits through both resource control and product service offering. Investment centers. These centers take into account the asset base and its contribution to performance, often evaluated using ROI. They are crucial in large manufacturing entities where asset efficiency plays a key role in profitability. Implementation considerations. Most single business corporations, like Apple, primarily use cost, expense, and revenue centers, whereas multi-divisional firms like General Electric tend to focus on investment centers alongside other types. However, the division of responsibilities can sometimes create silos that hinder interdivisional cooperation, potentially affecting overall corporate synergy. These performance evaluation methods help organizations pinpoint strengths and weaknesses, facilitating better strategic oversight and operational efficiency. Okay, now the question is, what is benchmarking? Benchmarking is a process pioneered by Xerox for measuring a company's products, services, and practices against those of top competitors or industry leaders. The goal is to learn from others' successes rather than reinvent solutions. The benchmarking process generally involves several steps. Identify the area for examination. Focus on processes that can enhance competitive advantage. Obtain performance measurements. Gather relevant behavioral and output measures related to the process. Select benchmarks. Choose competitors and best-in-class companies, even from different industries, to compare against. Analyze differences. Calculate the performance gaps between the company and the benchmarks to understand why they exist. Develop improvement programs. Create tactical plans to close these performance gaps. Implement and compare. Execute the programs and measure the results against the benchmarks. Benchmarking tends to yield the best results for well-managed companies, as poorer performing firms often struggle with a perceived gap between their performance and the benchmarks. Despite this, over 70% of surveyed companies in the US engage in benchmarking, leading to cost reductions ranging from 15% to 45%, as well as increases in sales, improved goal setting, and enhanced employee motivation. A typical benchmarking study costs around $100,000 and takes approximately 30 weeks to complete. For example, Manco Inc. benchmarks against larger companies like Walmart and PepsiCo to remain competitive with industry giants. Additionally, organizations like the APQC maintain databases with common performance measures to help firms assess their standing relative to peers and top performers. Before performance measures can influence strategic management, they need to be effectively communicated to those responsible for strategic planning and implementation. Strategic information systems, which can be manual or computer-based, facilitate this communication. Poor management information can lead to missteps, as seen in the case of International Harvester, while effective use of information systems has contributed to Walmart's success by enabling real-time tracking of sales and inventory, streamlining purchasing, and allowing data-driven product reordering. Enterprise resource planning (ERP) systems have become common in many corporations, integrating all major business activities into a single software platform. This provides instant access to critical information across the organization, from executives to factory workers. Major ERP providers include SAP, Oracle, and J.D. Edwards. Despite high implementation costs and complexity, ERP can significantly enhance efficiency and competitive advantage by uniting operations across global entities. However, ERP systems have challenges. They require significant standardization and may force companies to alter their operations, which can lead to failure if not properly tailored, trained, and supported. Examples of problems during ERP implementation are seen in companies like Whirlpool and Hershey Foods, though successful adoption can yield substantial benefits. Radio frequency identification (RFID) technology is also gaining traction as a tool for improving supply chain efficiency by enabling better tracking of inventory through electronic tags. Both Walmart and the U.S. Department of Defense have mandated RFID usage among suppliers. Although challenges exist with standardization, companies like Audi and Sony are employing RFID technology for internal tracking efficiencies. At the divisional or strategic business unit (SBU) level, information systems support business strategies by enhancing decision-making. For example, an SBU focused on cost leadership can improve productivity and resource allocation using its information system, while an SBU pursuing differentiation might enhance product uniqueness and service quality. Companies like Merrill Lynch and FedEx illustrate how tailored information systems can boost operational efficiency and competitive advantage. The measurement of performance is essential for effective evaluation and control within an organization. Without quantifiable objectives or performance standards, and with inadequate information systems that fail to provide timely and accurate data, control can be severely hindered. Meg Whitman, former CEO of eBay, emphasized this by stating, "If you can't measure it, you can't control it." eBay addresses this by employing various metrics, such as total revenues, profits, and the take rate, the ratio of revenue to the value of goods traded on the site. These objective and timely measurements are crucial for making both operational and strategic decisions. However, relying solely on quantifiable standards doesn't ensure good performance. The act of monitoring and measuring can lead to negative side effects, including a short-term orientation and goal displacement, which may ultimately interfere with overarching corporate performance. Top executives often neglect to consider the long-term implications of their current operations on chosen strategies, primarily due to several reasons. They may underestimate the importance of long-term evaluations, prioritize short-term objectives, lack personal accountability for long-term outcomes, or feel they lack the time for such analyses. However, the first and last reasons lack justification. If executives acknowledged the significance of long-term assessments, they would prioritize them. The pressure to meet short-term financial targets frequently leads to detrimental decisions. For instance, an international heavy equipment manufacturer shipped unfinished products to meet quarterly revenue goals, ultimately harming overall profits due to high assembly costs. Traditional accounting measures like EPS, earnings per share, often promote this short-term focus, leading managers to overlook long-term strategic considerations. This is further exacerbated by pressures from financial analysts and investors for quarterly earnings guidance. Return on investment is similarly constrained by its short-term bias. Although theoretically applicable to the long run, in practice, it is often manipulated by adjusting earnings or investments to present a more favorable short-term picture. Moreover, many financial executives reported that they would cut research and development or delay projects to meet earnings targets, even at the cost of long-term value. Compensation structures often incentivize this short-term approach. CEOs may receive raises based on immediate performance metrics rather than long-term results, and they can manipulate financial reports to enhance their compensation packages. For example, CEOs might time bad news announcements to lower stock prices before stock options are issued. then subsequently release good news to inflate stock prices. Compensation committees can also unjustifiably expand peer comparisons to justify higher raises, especially when the company is underperforming. OK. Monitoring and measuring performance can sometimes harm overall corporate performance if not done carefully, leading to goal displacement. This occurs when activities meant to achieve corporate objectives become ends in themselves, resulting in two main issues: behavior substitution and suboptimization. Behavior substitution. Behavior substitution happens when employees prioritize activities that are measurable and rewarded over those that genuinely contribute to goal accomplishment. For instance, employees might focus on easily quantifiable metrics instead of harder-to-measure behaviors like cooperation and initiative. A study revealed that many companies fail to identify important non-financial performance areas linked to their strategy, with only 23% verifying cause and effect relationships between intermediate controls and company performance. An example of this is Sears, where tying employee commissions to repair costs led to overbilling and diminished customer trust due to behavior substitution. Suboptimization. Suboptimization occurs when individual units or divisions optimize their goals to the detriment of the organization as a whole. This often arises in large corporations that develop separate responsibility centers. When divisions prioritize their performance evaluations, they may refuse to cooperate with others, which can hinder overall corporate effectiveness. For example, a marketing department might push for an early shipment date that necessitates overtime production in the manufacturing department, increasing costs and reducing efficiency. While marketing may meet its sales goals, overall corporate profitability could suffer. When designing a control system, top management must ensure that controls align with strategy to effectively achieve objectives. Failure to do so can result in dysfunctional side effects that undermine implementation. Here are key guidelines for effective control systems. Limit information. Focus on the essential information necessary for a reliable overview. Adhering to the 80-20 rule. Monitor the 20% of factors that drive 80% of results. Meaningful monitoring. Only track significant activities and outcomes, even if they are difficult to measure. This includes monitoring interdivisional cooperation if it impacts corporate performance. Timeliness. Controls should provide timely insights to allow for corrective actions before issues escalate. Emphasize steering controls that assess influencing factors. Balance time frames. Utilize both long-term and short-term controls to avoid fostering a solely short-term managerial focus. Exception focus. Direct attention to activities or results that fall outside acceptable tolerance ranges, rather than scrutinizing everything. Reward systems. Emphasize rewarding the achievement of standards rather than punishing failures, as punitive measures can lead to distorted reporting and lower standards. A strong corporate culture can reduce the need for extensive formal controls, as highlighted in Search of Excellence by Peters and Waterman. Companies with robust and market-oriented cultures often require fewer policies and procedures since employees are clear about their roles and expectations. For instance, at Eaton Corporation, employees self-regulate and hold each other accountable, suggesting that in a strong culture, less formal oversight is necessary. To align the interests of the corporation with those of its employees, management and the board should develop incentive programs that reward desired performance. This approach mitigates agency problems where employees may prioritize personal gain over shareholder value. Incentive plans should be tied to both corporate and divisional strategies, as research indicates that compensation practices influence firm performance. Different strategies necessitate varying pay mixes. For instance, a growth strategy favors bonuses over salaries, while a stability strategy reverses this trend. 3 primary methods can enhance the alignment of performance measurements and rewards with strategic objectives. Weighted factor method. This method customizes performance metrics for each strategic business unit SBU based on its role in the overall strategy. For example, high-growth SBUs may be evaluated on ROI, cash flow, market share, and strategic project progress, while low-growth SBUs might focus more on cash generation. Long-term evaluation method. This compensates managers based on long-term performance metrics, such as earnings per share growth over several years. Managers may receive stock or performance units contingent on meeting these long-term objectives, discouraging premature exits from the company. For example, General Electric ties performance share units to multi-year growth targets. Strategic funds method. This approach distinguishes between funds for immediate operations and those for future development, allowing managers to invest in long-term growth without negatively impacting short-term ROI evaluations. It encourages investment in strategic initiatives alongside current operational performance. Combining these methods can achieve the desired strategic results by segregating strategic funds, employing weighted factors specific to each SBU, and measuring performance via a triad of metrics: pre-tax profit, weighted factors, and long-term evaluations. Companies like Genentech and GE have linked executive compensation to achieving strategic objectives, but care must be taken to ensure that the compensation structures do not encourage excessive risk-taking or growth at the expense of shareholder value. Over-reliance on growth incentives can lead to accusations of overpaying executives, as evidenced by the disparity between CEO and average worker pay.
Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please like and subscribe to channel.